Where there's a D20, there's a way. It's 10 points under. Welcome, folks. Biggie here coming at you, and today I've got a very special guest with me. He is one of the, at least I consider him to be one of the greats of the Heroscape world. He knows a bunch about strategy. He's got his own power rankings that I really enjoy reading. It's OrcElfArmyOne. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
So, for those of you who don't know Orc, I don't really know exactly who our viewership is, so I don't know, who people know and who they don't know. So in case you don't know Orc, he's one of the Gen Con folks. He plays at Gen Con a lot. Really good player from what I've been able to observe. I don't think I've ever actually seen him play a game, but I have listened to his podcast, Casters of Valhalla. It's a really great podcast. He shares a lot of cool stuff on it, him and just his crowd. So go ahead, definitely give that a listen. There will be a link in the description. Make sure you check it out because he's got a lot of good insight when it comes to strategy, when it comes to using figures correctly. And I'm really excited to see what he brings to this game.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm a big fan of your video series. I actually do have a couple games recorded online. I have one against Sir Heroscape on his channel. So shout outs to him for, being one of the other content creators here. That was a game from Gen Con 2017, I believe, when I had Nilfheim General Wars and he had a Roman build.
Right.
With Cyprian, Romans with Cyprian. So, it was a great game. It was pretty intense. Cyprian, as you might imagine, Cyprian's really powerful, so he did a lot of damage. But you'll have to watch the video to see what happens, how it all played out, and then just a couple others from Gen Con. From years past, so.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, I do remember that game from Sir Heroscape's channel, and I remember really liking that one. That was a good game. I'll probably throw a link to that in the description as well, because it was a good game, and Sir Heroscape's a great content creator too. So today we've got a couple more just great names from the Heroscape scene duking it out. This is from the recent, what do they call it, Reverse Draft tournament that they're doing online right now. So what this is actually one of the first times that I get to talk about this a little bit more, because in the games I've recorded so far, people have mostly been just taking their whole army into the game. But this one we get to see a little bit of the reverse draft mechanics at play. So before the game starts, you get to kind of bid down an army. You look at whichever army you think is strongest, and you say, hey, I'll take this stronger army, but I'll sit out this figure or these figures. And you take turns bidding it down until you feel like it's at a good place, and you accept the bid, and you just play with whatever armies you ended up with. So in this one, it actually didn't get bid down a ton, but there are some notable figures missing. Over on the left, we have infectedsloth. He is playing a nice Solborg build. He has 3 squads of Deathstalkers, Death Commander Mark III, and a squad of Zedian infantry. And the figures that he's sitting out of his army are the Zedian Guards and Eldgrim the Viking Champion. So he's sitting out, I guess that is 100 points that he's down, technically, but they were kind of more tools for his army and not central components for it, just to kind of get it down to the same strength as the other one. But yeah, so that's infectedsloth's army over on the left. Over on the right, we have Doc. He's playing an army with Ornak, 2 squads of Blade Gruts, and then he's got a bunch of Utgard heroes, as you might expect. He's got Brunek, Isamu, Miberksa, Narek the Glacian Swagrider, and then a Mind Flayer Mastermind. Oh yes, and also Marku. And then Raylan. So there's a lot of cards in that army. I'm glad I've got the list here to look at. So yes, we've got 2 pretty interesting armies going up against each other. We got Solborgs versus Orcs in a general sense, but then there's also a lot of tools going on with the Orcs, and the Solborgs have a lot of tools to work with as well.
Yeah, so I think... So Doc is piloting Nathan's army at full strength. That's a type of build that Nathan is really a big fan of. Nathan is infectedsloth, and he's really a big fan now of the 2 blades Ornak with some other heroes, especially with Raylan and Nerak. And what that does is it makes the Blade Gruts just such a great board controlling device, because all your Blade Gruts are 5 defense within those auras. They're actually really defensive. It's not really an offensive Blade Grut build. Offensive Blade Grut build will be running Grimnak. They'll be running Tornak for those offensive buffs and for the extra offensive attacks. You have Ornak's ability. His ability is actually quite good with the Blade Gruts, but the problem is that you need to keep him protected in this build because you have all those heroes you want to work with it. So he's really got a very defensive pod built up. And then on the other side, you have just a much more mobile army. Those Death Stalkers with the 7 move. It's just really, really mobile. They're able to strike you wherever they want. The problem is is that this map is just not kind to double spacers. It's very bumpy. There's a lot of lava. It's just a pain to move around with them. So we'll see how that plays out. And then for the drops, for what Nathan had to drop to play that army, I think the big one is actually just Eldgrim. I don't think the losing Zedian guards is that big of a deal, but Eldgrim, I could really see setting him up right where the bottommost Zedian infantry is, and turn one, overextending to burn the heel glyph on the bottom side of the map. Burning that turn one would prevent Brunak or prevent Ornak or even maybe Marku from healing later in the game when that could really be a big play for Doc.
Yeah, no, that's a very good observation. I hadn't even thought about using Eldgrim to burn Kelda, but yeah, it's definitely more useful for Doc's army than it is for Infected Sloth's army.
Yeah, so, with only Death Commander, and he only has 2 life, the chance that you get that 5-move Death Commander with exactly 1 life left to that spot when he's starting all the way over on the other side of the map is just very unlikely. Whereas, Brunak and Miberxa and Nirak and even Ornak has 6-move and Marku has 7-move flying. So all those figures have they have just a better chance of getting to that. And they're, especially Marku with 6 life. If Marku is destroying your army in the end game and then you get him to like 4 hits and then he goes and heals and comes back, you're probably in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So that's the matchup that we're working with. I'm really interested to see how this plays out because I don't know that I've really seen defensive Blade Gruts played very much, if at all, so it'll be really cool to see how that works out. But I'll go ahead and get started really quick, and then we'll see how this goes out. So first off, I do want to mention this because this is something I know that you guys talked about on the Casters of Valhalla, and I think it's a really cool trick. It's something that I realized, I think just last year, is that Marku is a great figure to be used with Ornak because when you don't reveal an order marker on his card, he doesn't have to roll for Eternal Hatred. So I'm excited to see some stuff with that, and I did watch like the first round, so I do think we see that coming up pretty quick. And I don't want people to be going like, hey, he didn't roll for Eternal Hatred on Marku, because it's a cool trick to be able to use.
Yeah, it's a really, really powerful trick. Marku, Marku is already just ridiculously undercosted, and without having to roll for Eternal Hatred, it's just insane. His stats are just completely bonkers. And the board control you get from a 7-move threat of 4 dice on any order marker 1, like, you have to play around that. You have to know that that's a possibility.
Yeah, for sure. I think that also helps a lot. Because that's so versatile. I feel like you could use that to grab a glyph, you could use that to just control a part of the board, or just like, get him somewhere and then have him smack down on somebody for 5 dice potentially. With 7-move and flying, you're probably going to be able to get 5 dice pretty consistently, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and especially with Death Commander is is probably the most important component to Nathan's army. That, and of course the Death Stalkers, but you have to really make sure that Death Commander isn't in range of Marku.
Yeah, for sure. This will also be cool to see how the Ornak, however you say it, the Utgar Flagbearer pod works out here, because that's another thing that I haven't seen enough of, I feel like. And I love the Brunak with Raylan strategy. I think that's awesome, and something that I've seen it in a couple games that I've really liked it when I've seen it. Ornak with Marku is awesome. Miberxa is a great hero. There's a lot of really good potential for Doc to pull off some just really strong plays with this army, I feel like.
Yeah, and you can see there he's starting to get that defensive pod built up with Nirak and Raylan getting moved up. Brunak is at 9 defense within Raylan's aura, which is insane. Yeah. And he'll probably just be carrying Raylan this game, honestly, because if Adam wants to move Ornak, he'll just use the Blade Gruts and Bod with him.
Yeah, that's also a really nice thing. I like the... Man, I need to play the Ornak army a lot more, because just looking at it right now, I'm like, man, there's so many possibilities, and I just feel like a lot of flexibility. You are kind of dependent on the order marker number 1 each round, but even still, there's just a lot of flexibility with this army. I'm really excited to see how this plays out.
For sure. And I think of course, he built it specifically to be tougher to play for a reverse draft type of format, but Ornak within a regular format context, you'd be probably running at least one of Grimnack or Tornak, and that's when you really start opening up possibilities to not always have to put Order Marker 1 on Ornak. That's when you can start putting, sometimes you're going to be putting all 3 Order Markers on the blades, for example. So it's just very much based on what the format is dictating him do. And then we're seeing Nathan right now is developing up, just Death Commander with the infantry. Yeah, knowing Nathan, he's a very, very defensive player, very loss adverse. He is not going to rush people into bad situations. So knowing Nathan, I would bet a lot of money that his Order Marker 3 is on Death Stalkers. Because he's got one chilling on the lava at the bottom of the map. And then I would also bet that Death Commander isn't going to just... I know, Death Commander is not going to just charge forward. He's going to be sitting back in a defensive wall of Death Stalkers and Zedian infantry, and we'll see when he chooses to engage with him, because that's a really interesting aspect to the Death Commander.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how he uses that. I think the other interesting thing about this matchup is just kind of that. I mean, you talked about how infectedsloth is more of a defensive player. I think you kind of need to be a little bit more defensive, especially since like the Deathstalker mobility is hurt by the map a bit. But I'm interested to see like just how defensive he needs to play if he goes for an attack or if he tries to sit back, because if he tries to sit back too much, he does get there is range with Mi Berksaw that's able to shoot back at him if he tries to just sit back a little bit and shoot. So there's definitely options for each player, but at the same time, with both of them being defensive players and Doc having a very defensive army already as well, I'm interested to see where the engagements happen and when they happen, what the timing is.
Yeah, I mean, my bet is major engagement probably won't happen until around round 3. We might get some plink shots in round 2. I mean, no shots are going to happen in round 1. What's interesting is Doc is already putting Nirak and Raylan on lava, which is really kind of gutsy. I mean, Raylan supporting Nirak at least, but still, Nirak taking a cheap lava hit isn't necessarily great. It's interesting because I don't necessarily feel that the Blade Gruts need more move.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking just then when you put Nirak on the move glyph, because Blade Gruts are already really fast. I mean, they're awesome with 8 move, but especially where I don't think Doc would be expected, or I don't think he's expecting to be rushed right now, so I don't know that he needs the 8 move glyph. And Nirak with only 3 life is pretty fragile to put on lava, like you said. I mean, I think there's a bit more wiggle room with Raylan since she's a little bit further back, a little bit more defendable, and she does have 5 life. Definitely some interesting choices, and I don't think obvious things that most players would be thinking about when they look at this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raylan placement is fine. I don't necessarily agree with the Nirak one. I think if you want the move glyph, you throw a Blade Grut onto it, even if it takes an extra turn or whatever, unless he's planning on moving Nirak right off. But I mean, even if Nathan were to rush Doc here, I'm not sure how extra move really helps, because if you're the one getting rushed, your figures are tighter packed together, in which case you don't need to move as far to engage the target that's rushing you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And he's also so defensive because he wants to stay in the auras. I mean, I guess all the movement glyph does help him to get into defensive auras faster and maybe get better positioning at the same time. But
maybe slightly. It's just, I mean, does he need to be in both at a time? Or if he's on that, 7 hexer behind Raylan, I think 4 defense Blade Gruts are probably going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think... so where Nathan just put that Deathstalker, that was a really good play, because if Adam wants to engage him, he has to go down a level into that swamp water, which he's not going to want to do because it's out of both auras. So what Nathan is kind of doing is setting up threats with these guys. He's not necessarily trying to capitalize on them right away. He's just saying, this guy's here, you don't have a good counter play to this, so I'm going to put him there and threaten a next round attack down on that dude if you don't move him away, which sure, you'll move him away, in which case I'll move him up just a little bit farther, and I'll just keep creeping around your flank and keep creeping a little closer and hope I can find find a soft target. So if he wins an initiative next round, there are 4 Utkar heroes in the back there that can't be bonded with right now, right? You have Mind Flayer, you have Isamu, Marku, and Miberxa. All of them are outside of Raylan's aura right now. If Nathan wins initiative and Order Marker 1 moves the Deathstalker to that, the level 2 7-hexer on the rightmost side of the board, then on the next Order Marker, he can pounce on any two of those that are outside of, Raylan's aura. So, I mean, he's going to cause Adam some headaches with that placement. I think that's a really good play. And then with the rest of them, he's just kind of being defensive and hanging back right now. I mean, Death Commander's just surrounded. He is not looking to lose Death Commander right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a good figure to protect too against like how much the blades like to group up together. That'll be really helpful. But interesting, going for the nice engagement with that Blade Grut.
Well, absolutely. I completely forgot. Move glyph means 8 move. They can get around to that side of there. He is out of the auras now, which is an interesting play. So, yeah, I mean, 2v5 is not a great play, I guess. So he's probably just trying to prevent, the Deathstalker from getting onto his Miberxa, from getting onto his Marku, especially Isamu. I think if you hit the mall, you don't get to roll for Vanish.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I'm not certain about that, but that sounds...
I have to...
Right.
I'll check Isamu's card real quick.
But, yeah, no, that'll be really interesting. And I do like the play just in that... I like the... I mean, I think you call it tethering, right? Where you just rush out a figure to hold on to somebody. And so, basically, I think he's saying, hey, I'm not ready for you yet. Stay back for a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Leave my heroes alone. This guy only costs 10 points, so I'll throw him at you. And, if I lose a Blade Grut, I lose a Blade Grut.
Right, for sure. Now, the Blade Gruts are worth a little more because you only have 8 of them. So they're worth a little more than in a normal Orc build, but at the same time, your Blade Gruts aren't your offense here. Your offense is in Brunak, your offense is in Marku, your offense is in Miberxa. So, So yeah, 10 points to tether a Deathstalker that's threatening your flank like that. Yeah, that's a good play. That's a good play.
Yeah, I definitely like it. I think one of the things that I really like about watching online Heroscape, between players who I don't get to play with as much, and especially again with like high level players, and like one of the reasons why I wanted to start showing these games to people who might not get to watch them as much because they're just not around when they happen, is I really like watching development, because I feel like watching other people play these early rounds of the game has helped me a lot to understand better how the development of armies works, especially like when it's like on each different map. If you watch the same army on different maps, it's interesting to see how like they use that map or they use that matchup to do different things with their development. And so I think this is really fun to see how Doc's kind of just swinging up to the north because he thinks that that's the best ground that he can get to be able to be on and play his defensive game, and then also start getting hits in. And then just like all of those Deathstalkers trying to creep around the board and pin down Doc.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think my one thing with this, though, is I do think this map has a natural push to the left. I think that 7-hexer to the Swamp 7-hexer that's right adjacent to your start zone is just really hard to beat. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. I guess my problem with this map is that it's, just look at that center. So if I get to go left and you go right, then I think I'm in a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I have kind of seen that on this map a little bit too. I haven't played on it a ton, but I can definitely see where, if both players are going left, then unless the glyphs are like stronger one way or the other, then whoever's going to their left, I feel like does have kind of an advantage, especially if they've got range, because that level 2 height just lets you shoot down on stuff pretty easily. I guess depending on how much range you have, but...
Right. I mean, this map is just stupid for like Q9 Laglord Raylan, because you just keep Laglord Raylan in your start zone.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But cool. So let's see, a little more development from the Deathstalkers, and Doc did throw out Marku to try to get a kill in. Didn't go through, but...
Yeah, and that's a really interesting play. I don't think I like that. I think, Yeah, I'm not too keen on losing Marku this early in a match, and I think he can get surrounded now by Death Stalkers. And here's the deal: if you're gonna play, like if you're gonna have an offensive play with that, you need a different threat. There needs to be some other reason that he can't just surround Marku right now and take 3 swings on him, right? But
Yeah.
I don't see that reason. There's nothing threatening him on the north right now. He's completely set up as far as he's concerned.
Like, I think, I don't, like, and I'm kind of just spitballing here because, again, I don't really know these armies super well, but, like, if you're going to go for that attack, the Deathstalker's already a little tethered with the Blade Grut. If you really want, I mean, I can kind of see throwing Marku in there to try to tether stuff up, but I also think he's a great offensive threat. And Ornak has a range on his aura, right? His Red Flag of Fury, that's 8 spaces, right?
Right.
Yeah, so he's out of range for that at this point. I mean, if you want to get a hit in, I'd probably just take a shot with me Berksa, because then you can keep him within Ornak's range, get a shot, and maybe get a little bit more maneuvering. Maybe? Question mark?
I would just personally, I would probably just forego the attack and just run my Berksa up, like right behind Brunak and Raylan right there. Just to protect him, and you say, okay, if you want to come chasing him, if you want to come chase him, then I'm going to surround you with Blade Gruts and destroy you on height, because the only way to engage me Berksa there is going to be from low ground, and Blade Gruts on height boosted by Ornak, they'll get kills. So Marku got out of there with only taking 1 hit, but the thing is, next turn he can easily take more than 1 hit, and again, he can't get away from there. I personally am not a fan of that play. I did, however, screw up that don't quote me on that Asama ruling, actually. I'm pretty sure actually, because it says after rolling attack dice, they still rolled attack dice. There's no clause involving him having to roll defense dice, so I'm pretty sure he would still get to vanish. So
okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Just don't want to mislead the viewers. Oh, OrcElfArmyOne said this, so clearly it must be true. Like, no, I make mistakes too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cards and interactions with Heroscape, so.
Yes, there are. I think it's Wretchets that are because they auto-destroy.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I just say the figure's destroyed.
Maul is technically different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, we're seeing some really interesting plays. Again, just look at Nathan's setup. It's just so defensive on that left side. He's got the offensive threat at the bottom. And here's the deal. I don't dislike a lot of Doc's placements otherwise. I mean, I think that Blade Grut that's right kind of in the center, like diagonally left below Ornak to the left 2, if that makes sense. So it's in between 2 zero level swamp waters. I don't know if you is that clear? One?
Yeah, it's clear to me. I really need to figure out a way to like have my mouse show on this without the problem right now is a bunch of other stuff shows up if I try to like circle stuff with my mouse. But yeah, no, like the one just directly by the level 2 lava, right?
Yes, exactly. That one, I think that's a really good placement because it's going to be very tough to counteract that. I mean, he's going to have to either be attacking up if he wants to assault there, or he has to be on at least partially on lava. I mean, I think that's a really good placement. I think the leftmost Blade Grut's in a good spot as well. It's just outside of Death Commander's attack radius. So unless Death Commander moves up to the lava, which I doubt we'll see, then he can't get attacked by Death Commander. So yeah, I mean, I think Doc's playing well on that area of the board again. I just don't like that Marku play. I think Marku is a lot more, but I mean, maybe I overvalue Marku. I just think Marku is really strong.
Yeah, no.
And now 5 wounds total now.
Yeah, so he is like delaying that attack, a couple turns. So that's nice, I guess. But I think I agree in that. I don't know if Doc was. Or maybe I'm underestimating the threat that the Deathstalkers would pose to Doc. I mean, I think it's a good play for infectedsloth to be circling some Deathstalkers around to kind of get that flank in there to kind of catch Doc off guard if he can. But I don't know if it's... I mean, with the defensive pod that Doc's being able to set up right now, I don't know that it's like likely to do that much damage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now we're seeing Mind Flayer come up I imagine the reason we're seeing Mind Flayer come up is not to just kill one-sided infantry, but rather to try to enslave Death Commander and dunk him in the lava. So,
oh, that's true. Yeah.
okay, so he missed on that, but that is very threatening. Nathan's going to have to do something about that. Death Commander getting dunked in the lava this early would be a huge blow.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I haven't seen Mind Flayer Mastermind used enough. But yeah, Enslave, so that's a roll of 17 or higher. So that's, as far as getting a turn with your hero and being able to dunk your main guy into the lava, that's pretty decent odds, really. So that's definitely something for Infected Sloth to be worrying about.
Yeah, it's a 20% to hit, and I believe if you get 3 attempts at it, you're at the 50-50 mark, where it's basically a coin flip on whether or not you should have hit it in that game. So, I mean, if he gets 3 attempts at that, that's a coin flip. That's huge. So,
so yeah, that's a very scary thing to be aware of. I'm also kind of want to see it happen just because I love seeing lava dunks, but that's really scary.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, his other power is actually pretty decent too. I'm it's going to be hard to get it to work against the Death Stalker, so it's a 3-die range attack of 3. Mm-hmm. But if you kill, you can peel an unrevealed order marker. So it's kind of like entangling web of the spiders, but you have to kill them. And like if you can get that on the Death Stalkers early in the round and pull like an order marker 2 or an order marker 3, that's really strong. So I don't know. It's going to be if he can get that, or if he get the Enslave, it's just a very high, like the ceiling for Mind Flayer is really, really high. The problem is the floor is also really low, where he could end up just not performing at all. So he's a pretty variance-driven figure, and he is quite a ways up. But we're seeing the Raylan move now, so Brunek's coming up to carry Raylan to there. Yep, that way she's protecting the Mind Flayer because he doesn't want to lose Mind Flayer, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a really good point about the Mind Flayer. I feel like that's one of the figures that gets overlooked a lot, and it's got a lot of utility going for it. I mean, like you said, the floor is really, really low. Really hurts when you only take 1 attack and it doesn't work. You know, if the attack goes through and you take an order marker off of their card, and that's a turn that it's not the X, then that's really big. But if you make that 1 attack and it fails, then you don't get your positioning. You don't get much board control from that. So, yeah, I definitely get you on the floor-ceiling value there.
Yeah. I mean, I've played a lot of Mornak with usually a couple Mind Flayers, and they're quite solid. I've also done some stupid stuff with, like, Mind Flayer with Nilfheim, because you can enslave your own figures.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get extra turns. So it's like, it's a really stupid, like, maybe I'll bond with Nilfheim too, where it's like, well, I probably should just have 2 squads of green scales instead of this, but it's fun, so.
Yeah,
He's kind of one of my pet, honestly, Mind Flayer is one of my pet figures where I don't play him a lot, but when I do, it's a blast, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I get that. I think, slightly off topic, but kind of in the same vein, I just got to drop a note for one of my favorite pet figures is Werewolf Lord, especially in free-for-alls, because if you've got 3-player free-for-all, you can lycanthrope one guy's Nilfheim. This is a true story. Lycanthrope one guy's Nilfheim, have it go kill the other guy's monks, just have them fight between each other for you. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love Werewolf Lord. He's great, man. I've really considered him in some weirder builds without Wolves of Badru, just to screw up their bonding, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's huge when you just completely take away the main feature of an army.
Yeah, I remember at an early tournament back when I didn't, my very first tournament, actually, I think I was running maybe 2 squads of Arrowgruts with Mimring and Krug, and I think I lost my Krug, the ability to bond with my Krug. Yeah. And then Krug bashed in my Mimring, if I remember correctly. Now, I mean, Mimring probably shouldn't have been anywhere near Krug, but we'll ignore that for now. All right, so we're seeing a bit of a more aggressive Deathstalker play. Okay, so he got 1 cheap hit through onto Mind Flayer, and he killed Marku.
Okay, yeah. So that frees
So
up those Deathstalkers. So I think I'm still just kind of wondering. Ooh, nice. Got the kill on that Deathstalker with the Mind Flayer.
yeah, and he used that special.
Yeah, so that'll be one of the order markers. We'll see if that's one of the relevant ones later. Oh, 16. Just missed that. Enslave.
Yeah, that was close.
Man, that's cool. I really like what Mind Flayer brings to a game.
Yeah,
Just like those disruptor figures that keep your opponent on their toes.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, so I guess going back to the Marku play, so yeah, they were held up for a little bit. I guess I just don't see enough value coming out of that tying up to warrant the loss of him. I mean, again, this might sound crazy. I hope I might sound crazy to some of you, but like Marku in an Ornak build with Raylan is not worth 20 points. I would pay probably 60 points easily for Marku in an Ornak build. Like, that's how much better I think he gets in an Ornak build backed by Raylan. 3 defense with 6 life with ability to heal. Yeah, ridiculous.
I definitely agree with you there. Not that I've tried it much, but just like thinking about the pain, like I'm just kind of trying to picture myself trying to play against that. And yeah, once Marku loses the Eternal Hatred, while having to roll for that, that's a big bonus for him. So I think I definitely agree with you there. And
Yeah.
I just don't think that slowing down those Deathstalkers really did enough for Doc. I'm trying to like think of what he got out of that, other than like he saved maybe a couple attacks from like maybe on me Berksa, I guess. But I think like really all he got out of it was the ability to be a little bit more aggressive with the Mind Flayer, which is maybe what he wanted, but
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the play he's going for, of course, is that enslave. And I think there's merit to that, but at the same time, it feels a little weird to me trying to bank on that enslave, especially because I don't think this game is like it's one thing if you think you're really behind in the game, or if you think you're coming to this game really behind, and I really don't think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he needs the big enslave to save the day. I don't think the day is lost yet.
Right, yeah, I think I'd agree there. He does have a good amount of firepower on the board to be able to, try to break through that 7 defense with the Death Commander. I'd probably save the Mind Flayer for later in the game to try to get that enslaved Lava Dunk.
Yeah,
see how things go.
Yeah, I mean, even though the Blade Gruts are a more defensive force, I mean, you have Brunak that can get in there and start dealing some damage. And you have if you're getting enough attacks with the Blade Gruts, they're going to get kills. If you roll enough dice, you're going to kill something. That's that's Heroscape.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Krug die to Death Reavers. I've seen a Hydra die to Death Reavers. Yeah, it definitely happens.
For sure.
But so, do you think? I think this is a really interesting spot for, I think, both players to kind of be going towards their engagement. I think this kind of favors Infected Sloth a little bit, since he does have the range with Death Commander and the Zedian Infantry. Although Doc can get height with the level 3 lava, he could potentially run in Brunak and start attacking down there. But I don't know, I'm just kind of interested to see how they're jockeying for position here on this map. Oh,
Brunak is for sure the scariest part of that army, because the 9 defense with Raylan is ridiculous. I mean, obviously 3 life hurts him, but Death Commander only has 2 life, so Brunak could be a big problem with the lava resistance. That lava resistance is just insane on this map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and where Infected Sloth has kind of just grouped himself around that lava right there. I can just see the nightmare scenario where Brunak just waltzes in, kills 2 Deathstalkers and a Zedian Infantry, happily sitting with 9 defense.
Yeah. 10 defensive on height.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think I like that Blade Grunt play, the one that he moved just down a ways.
Just south of Raylan?
3 below. Yeah, just south of Raylan and Brunak. I really like that play, because that means that Deathstalker on Nathan's, the very bottom Deathstalker, is going to have a really tough time trying to counteract that. Because how do you even get level to that?
That's true, yeah.
you have to get to that lava space on the other side, the double hex lava next to Raylan and Brunak, which is not a good place to be. So that's a really strong placement.
Yeah, that is really, really good. Man, yeah, I mean, when you pointed out that this isn't super friendly to double spacers, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty bumpy. But yeah, seeing how Doc has just been using this placement to deny engagements, or at least make the engagements really, really bad for Infected Sloth, that's, yeah, not the greatest map for you Deathstalkers.
For sure. I mean, this is what high level Heroscape is. It's these types of plays where you're just trying to make every engagement as optimized for yourself and as unoptimized for your opponent as possible. I mean, and it's impossible to play perfectly. I think we're going to see mistakes for sure on both sides. And I guess one thing I'm a little confused about with Nathan is that one Zedian infantry that's engaged to that Blade Grut there. I'm not sure why he was there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a place he needs to be because he has range.
Right, yeah. And he doesn't have... he doesn't really have enough move to get anywhere significant from that spot, so... Yeah, I agree with that. That's kind of a weird spot to have just one of your weaker figures.
But again, it's Heroscape. Good luck optimizing every single move in a game.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Playing a perfect game of Heroscape is basically impossible, so... Yeah, if anyone ever has video of themselves playing the absolute perfect game, please send it my way. I would love to see, because, I mean, I love seeing stuff like this. This is, I mean, even though they're making some mistakes, again, they're already making some incredible plays as well, which is what this is all about. I mean, this is a good game already. But it's, again, the first real engagement is probably coming now, and this is going to be round 3 or 4? Round 3?
Let's see. Yeah, I think this is round 3. I don't know, they've kind of blurred together a little bit. I'm just trying to think of how many times he's activated Ornak at this point. I think it's round 3.
Yeah. Or no, it must be round 4. Because so Ornak the first round activated Brunak and Brunak and somebody else, doesn't matter. Round 2 was the Marku move.
Right.
Marku didn't get killed until like middle or beginning of round 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is round 4 already, and we still haven't had like a real engage.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think that's where, like, again, this is something I love to see from just like high level players in general. Is just like, I mean, I feel like a lot of the time, and this is myself included, but like newer players or just like players in general really will kind of be looking for that big engagement because they want to get their figures into the action. They want to be getting, like their maximum amount of attacks per turn. But just looking at how well Doc has been able to like deny good attacks to Infected Sloth and just like slowly increase his position and just like through that really optimize his chances for being able to win this game, I just find that really, really impressive. Yeah.
I mean, it's all the minutia they're doing right now. Each of them is trying to, it's a jockeying for the position. But that's the thing, though. If let's say if Doc just went running full force into Nathan's army, he'd crumble.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because all that stuff is there, and vice versa. I mean, and that's the thing. That's why developing is so important. That's why you don't just take, if you have bonding melee, you don't just take one squad and your hero and just charge them all the way across the map and leave everything else in your start zone. The whole concept is you're going to lose some figures, so you want to be able to resupply. So if I take Grimnak and one squad of heavy gruts, just run them across the map, and Grimnak dies, I have no other heroes to support that squad of heavy gruts that's up there. Similarly, if all 4 of those heavies die, or even if 2 die, now I'm limited to 3 attacks per turn until I get up 2 more heavies all the way across the map. Meanwhile, if you kill one of my dudes that's right outside my start zone because you ran across the entire map, now you kill one of my dudes, I don't care. I can get another guy up real fast. So it's just all those sorts of plays that you just really need to be cautious about being too aggressive in games. I mean, I think it's definitely something, if I know I'm playing somebody that's pretty aggressive, then I'll just set a trap. I'll just be like, okay, I think they're going to end up here, and then when they end up there, I can kill them, So I got last year at Gen Con, I got someone to bring their Grimnak into a place where I could get 4 dwarves on him, 3 of which were on height. So I was like, I'm pretty sure he's going to end up right here. And because I put 1 dwarf there as bait for Chomp. So then when he ended up right there, it was just cool. Jump on height. That's it. So killed dead Grimnak. 3 5v4s and then 1 4v4. But I mean, yeah, so it's just But it was the same deal there where he charged across the map and that was game. So you're seeing kind of the opposite of that sort of play here in this game with a lot of very, very careful positioning. So the Raylan placement is pretty good. Actually, that's a great placement next to that bush. Is the range on that Death Commander special 5, right?
Yes. I will double check that really quick, but I am... Yep, it is.
Okay. So Death Commander might start getting some order markers at this point because he can already hit Brunak, which will hit Raylan as well, and then he can hit the Mind Flayer.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Or he could just hit Brunak twice. I don't know. Just some options. He's got more plays than just Death Stalkers now for the first time, I think, all game, really. But I still don't love where that one Zedian infantry is. I'd like to see it behind where Death Commander is currently.
Yeah, I definitely think keeping those Zedian infantry a little bit further back. I mean, there's the other one that's down in the swamp water as well, which...
And one's already dead.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know that he's really banking on them a ton. I don't know. I mean, like, it's extra pings that you could have later if you didn't, if you're a little bit more conservative with them. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, they're also kind of squishy themselves, but...
Yeah, I just think every little bit helps in a game.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we're seeing right here is Nathan's being very careful to say, you have to leave your auras if you want to attack me. So he's going to keep placing his Death Stalkers exactly 6 spaces away from Raylan. Every single time, you're going to, if you count, it's going to be 6 spaces away or 7 spaces away. It's never going to be 5, because if it's 5, he can get engaged. And this is where that loss-averse playing by Nathan comes into play, where he's not here to lose Death Stalkers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I didn't quite notice that, especially with those top Death Stalkers. But yeah, they're just far enough away that, and I think that's a really good thing to watch out for. I don't know. I feel like one thing that's gotten me a bit more success with Heroscape in general is not only knowing your army, but knowing your opponent's army and being able to, I guess, more like forcing them to play in a way that they don't want to play. Like Doc definitely wants to play within both of the auras as much as possible, but where infectedsloth has been able to use the mobility of the Death Stalkers and then just keep the Death Commander in a threatening but still protected position is kind of like made it more awkward for Doc, I feel like.
For sure. I mean, you're a lot of careful plays on both sides. Losing Isamu there is a bit rough. Not the end of the world for sure, but Isamu is definitely a pretty strong figure with Hornak. Probably he's definitely as weird as it is, he's definitely the least valuable out of all of his heroes, but still having a 6-move phantom walking figure that, oftentimes will get 4 dice on height or, even just 3 dice, but throwing him up on the front lines right now with 4 dice on height could be okay. So seeing him gone is definitely nice for Nathan.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is interesting where he's going for a more aggressive push with the Mind Flayer there.
Yeah, that is interesting, especially because he can't dunk him in lava.
Yeah.
Because if you enslave him, he becomes, like, the Death Stalkers are now no longer friendly to Death Commander, so he couldn't walk through that Death Stalker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was going for that kill, right? He was taking that 5v5 down on that Death Stalker to try to kill it and then get the dunk. I don't know, it feels weird. It feels like a weird order marker, too, to me. I think I would have preferred to see a Brunak order marker or even a Burks order marker, knowing that those Death Stalkers are going to be hounding the backside.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think also just kind of with that, well, okay, never mind. I guess if you're going for the lava dunk, that is the correct play. I was just kind of thinking, why leave your jungle cover? I guess he's still in Raylan's aura, so that's not terrible, but I'm like, when he had the ranged attack and the potential to also remove an order marker, I was kind of questioning it, but yeah, no, if you're going for the lava dunk, that was definitely the right way to go about it.
It was the call, but I don't think he needs to be going for that right now. I think I agree with you. I'd rather see him stay by that jungle and take that 3-die, psionic blast, try to peel an order marker potentially, and stay protected, stay within. I mean, he's going to have the height and he's going to have Raylan's aura, so it's the same amount of defense dice. It's still going to be 7 defense dice, but still, I mean, you're getting engaged to a Death Stalker that probably otherwise wouldn't be engaged. I mean, I would say, I don't know, I would be telling Nathan, come down and fight Mind Flayer down here, because then if he does that, he can get Blade Gruts on him. So I don't know. it feels kind of a little odd to. It feels a little too aggressive. I don't think he needs to be that aggressive yet. I think he can. I don't know. I guess also, what's the time limit? Is there a time limit on these games, or?
No, there's not. So they can really play to their heart's content, and if they really want to play the long game, they're totally able to. Since online Heroscape does have the luxury of not having the time limit.
Okay, for sure. So
I think it just feels rushed, really. In general, it just feels like a rushed move to try to kill Death Commander when he didn't really need that extra swing, because I don't feel like Doc is behind right now.
He's not behind. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, technically, he might be just slightly behind, but not meaningfully.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a play you make when you need that play. I don't think he needs that play right now. I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm a fairly defensive player too, so maybe that's partly my bias. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, we're seeing Nirak move up a ways.
Oh, okay.
That feels interesting. That means that he's going to be bringing some Blade Gruts up to the front lines because he's trying to double buff those Blade Gruts defensively.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if maybe that's part of why he moved to the Mind Flayer, to kind of get it out of the way so that Narek could take that position, potentially.
Well, do you want Nirak up there?
Right, yeah, because now Death Commander can... That's a lot of dice Death Commander can throw at it. Narek is still throwing a lot of... so that'd be like a 5v6... But Narek also already... Oh, no, wait, Narek didn't take a wound. Oh, he didn't take a wound from lava that whole time. Nice. I thought he had.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'd rather... Okay, so he put Narek where he had Mind Flayer. I guess I don't see... I know what he's trying to build up to. He's trying to build up to a play where he can get those Blade Gruts up top. I don't know that the Blade Gruts need to be offensive yet. I would rather see... I think I'd rather see Brunak get up there and or Miberxa Miberxa start plinking away at the flanks, or Mind Flayer sniping. I don't know. It feels a little rushed, as you said. I think Blade Gruts are more end game in this army, because here's the deal against Death Commander in the end game, because at this rate Death Commander is getting to the end game, right? I mean, he's just there's not a whole lot of threat other than the lava dunk, because he's just sitting behind those Death Stalkers. So in that case, my focus would probably be on kill the Death Stalkers, use Brunak, get up there, use that Blunt Hungry, and if you get to an end game of Death Commander versus Blade Gruts, the whole play it's the same as against Deathwalker. You're just looking for that whiff.
Right, yeah.
So you just want quantity of attacks. You don't care about, like, Brunak is really not much better than a Blade Grut in the end, than Blade Gruts in the end game against Death Commander, because you're fishing for whiffs. You're using Ornak to buff them so that they're consistently rolling 2 hits, or as consistently as possible. That way, once he does whiff, he dies. So I don't know. I'm looking for quantity attacks in the end game. So it feels a little odd to me to. I just don't see the Blade Gruts needing to be a big part of this right now. So it looks like he took wounds on lava for both Mind Flayer and Miberxa. So Mind Flayer is now half dead. Miberxa has his first. Raylan has 1 hit. So, I mean, a lot of just damage spread. None of it's really meaningful.
Yeah, nothing.
Maybe Mind Flayer at half. That might be a little meaningful.
Yeah, that probably means that Mind Flayer doesn't get another order marker. He could still take a turn through Ornak, which could still be pretty good and swingy depending on how the attacks and enslave go. But yeah, it has been softened up a bit though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder because I think that's a really good point about just looking for quantity of attacks versus Death Commander, since you don't really have the quality unless like Brunak's able to survive till the end game, and even then 4v7 isn't incredible. But so I wonder if Doc's kind of letting that get to him, and that's why he's going a little bit more aggressive with the Mind Flayer, because I can kind of see the perspective of not trusting that the quantity of attacks will work, and so trying to get that lava dunk pretty aggressively earlier on, because if he gets that lava dunk, he's in a great position for the rest of the game. I feel like, even if I feel like he's been a little bit aggressive in trying to get it so far, I can see where that would turn the game. So I wonder if that's just kind of why he's like, I don't know if he's like getting a little nervous about it, trying to, win the game before he gets to the point where he needs to worry about Death Commander at all. But just kind of trying to look at that reasoning there.
Yeah, and I get that. A lot of this will come down to perspective, and For me, I'm a pretty variance adverse person. I don't like variance. That's why I run Grimnack, because free kills. So I definitely see that, but I don't know. It still okay. See, that Death Commander play is really strong, because that means even if he kills only one, he's like, even if he kills the one, if he gets the successful enslave, he can't dunk him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really
so
good spot
that just kind of shut down that whole line of thought, you know.
Yeah, that makes him just about untouchable right now. Yeah, and he's just far enough away from the south lava as well.
Yeah, he would need 2 enslave, or basically 2 turns in a row, assuming that Nathan did nothing else. Oh, here's the Brunak play.
There we go. Oh, and he's carrying Raylan right into the middle too. I think that's...
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Once I wasn't thinking he would do that, but now that I see it, I mean, she is pretty protected, so I feel like that's a decent... Well, let's see. We've got a couple Deathstalkers that could swing around.
Yeah, so Burks is now out of the aura.
That's true.
Yeah, Burksa, although he might be taking a turn with Burksa now, but Ornak, if he takes that turn with Burksa and Burksa leaves that place, Ornak is now unprotected, and he would have height down on him, so I can't imagine he'll do that. Oh no, Ornak would be protected by Nirak, but still only 4 defense with 4 life.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. It's an interesting call. I'm not sure I agree with that. If anything, let's see. That be better and that wouldn't be better. I don't know. I guess so. Like, Brunak's back foot could be where Raylan is, and then Raylan could be where she was, and then
is he?
Okay, we're seeing he might be changing. I don't know.
Oh, so adjusting it to just how you were saying. He heard you.
So to cover Ornak.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then he'll take the turn with he'll take the other turn with Muburksa to get Muburksa out of there.
Okay.
So that'll work. I mean, I guess I didn't dislike just leaving Raylan where she was, because even if she stayed where she was still covering Mind Flayer, Brunak, and then she was already covering Muburksa and Ornak and basically everybody from where she was. So I don't necessarily know she needed to move away, but I think where she is now is also fine.
Yeah, it does help. I mean, like, since we've seen a lot of Doc probably definitely wanting to go on the offensive now and just kind of like make his big push, this will help the Blade Gruts have a bit more survivability and such. So yeah, I can see the reasoning behind it. I don't know, I think I'm still questioning if the push is needed right here, right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than I think the only issue I have with it is really just the timing, personally. And also it's kind of hard for me, who's definitely a scrub, to say I have an issue with anything that Doc's doing. That feels kind of weird.
No. I mean, first of all, isn't your tournament record isn't it like 70% or something?
It's about there, I think.
Yeah, so you're not a scrub.
Okay.
And then secondly, like, nobody's perfect. Nobody makes every correct play. It's impossible. Everybody's going to make mistakes. People are going to have some different opinions on what constitute mistakes. I tend to have a more strict definition of what good plays are and what poor plays are, but I mean, obviously there's definitely a gray area there, but then there are some plays that I think are, like that Marku play, I think was just, like, I think you just look at that objectively and say that was not the correct call, whereas like with this push, I think it's more in the gray area, and I don't agree with it, but just because it's Doc doesn't mean you have to agree with everything he does.
Right, yeah, for sure. He is only 3 times the main event champion, so... And actually thinking about it right now, I think I might have a decent win rate against Doc too, so I need to look into that, actually.
Yeah, I had a good win rate against him until I, scrubbed out of day 2 years in a row now to him, so top 8 and then top 16, so oh well, I'll get my revenge once again. I beat his Torkolna with my Blade Grubs in an online match, I think like 6 or 7 years ago, back when I was just running my mouth about playing, basically saying Blade Gruts, basically saying that a lot of people just didn't really know how to play Blade Gruts, which was a stupid thing. I mean, I was a dumb kid, and I mean, I'm still a dumb kid, but I beat him in that match, and that's the only one that matters to me. So
there you go. All right, nice. So that's 2 wounds on Raylan there. It's a pretty good hit.
Yeah. Yeah, I still think I think Raylan could have stayed where she was. And then Miberxa could have even moved on to that the level 4 right above her to prevent a Deathstalker from getting above her. And then Miberxa's sniping from the top of the map and could snipe anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't quite hit Death Commander from there, but that's fine. He can just pick off any Deathstalker he wants. I don't know. That seems really strong to me. That seems like a really strong play to me.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the main thing that I probably would be doing differently than Doc in this game, had I been piloting this army, is just using Miberxa probably a good amount more just to get more snipes. Because not that, I mean, again, I think it's just a timing thing where he's just saving Miberxa for later, and I probably would have used Miberxa a bit more aggressively. And there's a lot of good spots for Miberxa to swing around with, especially with 8 moved, and get some good shots.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the trick to Nathan's army, though, is just you don't have enough order markers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
three does not get you everything you need to do in this game. So
Yeah.
it'll be, man, that was a great turn for Brunak there.
Yeah.
To wipe out, a couple of Deathstalkers. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out with Brunak. Brunak's gonna be a major thorn in Nathan's side, and we're seeing a very aggressive Deathstalker play from Nathan.
Yeah, so he's just going, I'm guessing that's straight for Ornak, yeah?
Yeah, it must
Probably.
be. Does Ornak does not have any hits. Ornak has 4 life despite what it says on that side, not 3.
Yeah, it's just looking at it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know this card a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But
that's an interesting play because Ornak is covered by both Nirak, Raylan. That's 6 defense with 4 life. That feels weird.
yeah. I mean,
or he's going for the Blade Rut, and the Blade Rut's 5 defense.
Right. I mean, I could see going for Miberxa right now, but
then why would you get down there? Why wouldn't you be on lava unless you're... Oh, wait, this is order marker 3. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Did Doc... Let's see. Order marker 2 for Doc was on Brunak, so... I don't know. That feels weird to me. That feels...
I'd probably just wait for the next round to make an attack then if I was going to do that. I mean, Deathstalkers are pretty defensively strong with 5 defense, but I don't know. That just seems like a little overextended.
He's going for Ornak.
Nice.
And Ornak blocked. I mean, surprise, surprise, 6 defense.
Right.
I mean, but the thing is, if you get them all, of course, but I think it's the same deal with the Enslave where you don't need it, so don't bother yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially since Doc now has another turn to be able to strike at that Deathstalker.
And he put it on the blades. Which is, I think Nathan might have been banking on Brunak going next, but with the blades, that means Ornak's attacking, and then some boosted blades will get to attack.
Yeah, so that's... Yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably did expect the other order mark to be on Brunak. That would make sense for that play then.
Right. I still think that was a bit of a gamble when he doesn't have... How many... So he's got 3... So I can't completely see, but it looks like there's exactly 2 squads left. He's down 1 squad.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Just I can't really you can't really see the casualties, so
yeah, it's another limitation.
So I just wanted. Yeah, no, I mean it's no big deal. I just wanted to double check to make sure. I don't know. I'm not keen on losing 1 out of my remaining 6 on a play like that. Where it's an interesting call. I don't know. I don't really agree with that one.
Yeah, I think, again, it just kind of feels a little bit rushed. I mean, it could have turned into some... I mean, like, if the attacks go through, then that's awesome. You kill Ornak, maybe with, like, getting some wounds now, getting the initiative switch, and getting another couple of wounds before Doc is able to safely reveal his order marker 1 on Ornak. But I think it's just another thing where, like, I don't think he's in a position where he needs that swing to win right now. I still feel like both players are pretty safe on the whole.
Well, and it's one thing if you're doing it on your order marker 3 when you're going last, because then you're playing for the initiative switch. That's a very different... Playing for an initiative switch is a very different thing than playing when your opponent still has their order marker 3, Yeah, and it's dead. Yep. I don't know. That seems weird. That seems like a Deathstalker that should be on the map right now.
Yeah, I definitely
Again,
agree.
he was definitely expecting Brunak to go again. I mean, I think it was a good call to go with the Doc made the right call to go with the Blade Gruts on the Order Marker 3, especially that Blade Grut. The one just south of Meebergsa migrated a bit, west on the map to the place where that other one was that then got that free kill on the Zedian infantry. So now all he has left is, although that also, I don't know, is attacking down on that Zedian infantry really worth more than taking that swing on the Deathstalker?
That's a good question, and that's actually something I feel like I struggle with a lot personally, is trying to decide which. I mean, like, the Deathstalker is definitely the more valuable target, but the Zedian infantry is definitely the easier kill. But the Zedian infantry probably isn't going to receive any order markers. I mean, that was the last one, right? So that wasn't going to receive any order markers for the rest of the game. So he probably really didn't. Yeah, I don't. I think that's one of the things that I still struggle with is, do I go for the higher priority but tougher attack, or do I go for an easy kill while I've got it?
Right. I mean, and the thing is that Blade Grut has disengaged, so if he kills that Deathstalker, he can leave. Like, he doesn't
Right.
have to stay there. That's the whole point of the Gruts, is that they come in, they do what they want, and then they leave, and can go on to a different Deathstalker, or can, retreat a little bit or whatever. I don't know. I think even though it's the statistically much, getting a 3v3, right, is a lot better than a 2v5, but if the 3v3 doesn't matter, then why bother?
Right, yeah. No,
It just feels like you're looking to lose a Blade Grut at that point because it's out of Nirax's aura. I mean, it's in Raylan's aura, but it's out of Nirax's aura, so it's only 4 defense, which is obviously high, but still 3v4s are pretty, a 3v4 will oftentimes kill.
Yeah, and in a game like this close, like you don't want to, and you want to take every edge you can get to try to push yourself ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those things where it's easy to look just like broad scale at a game like this and be like, oh, these are two great players, and so we're just going to see what happens and, assume that they're making a bunch of great plays. But it's like, you can actually make, I don't know, you're never going to make every right call, and we're already seeing quite a few plays on both sides where it's just we're not agreeing with,
Right.
decisions they're making. And I mean, that's Heroscape, though. That's the thing. These games are tense. They're tight. That was two plays in a row that were weird to us.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
And when that happens, you have to reevaluate. You have to say, okay, either. So when a play is weird, there's one of two things going on. Either A, they messed up, which is a lot of the time, or B, there's something you don't see and you don't understand. So, like, for me, that was earlier on when I forgot that Blade Grut had that move glyph. And it's like, wow, that move glyph was actually really powerful there, because that Blade Grut was able to tether that Deathstalker and not be on low ground there, which was a very powerful play. So that's the type of thing where it's like, okay, I didn't see that, so that was my bad. But then sometimes it's going to be on the players.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the same thing. I was watching Ken Matthias Maccabeus play against Nathan in top 4, and there was a play by, I don't even remember who it was at this point. One of them made a play, and I was like, wow, that seems like a really bad play. And then it was the other thing where it was like, nope, I just completely missed that. That was actually a brilliant play, and I just it didn't quite compute until I saw the results. It's like, okay, but that's what you do. You build kind of like a library in your brain of like all these plays you've seen, how games tend to play out, and then it's like, that's a thing now. So I think it involved like a wyvern, and I was like, man, he should be 2 spaces over to that, but then I didn't realize that was to threaten this other location. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much to this game. There's so many tactical decisions.
Oh yeah. And I think, like, when I'm observing a game through, like, especially on this channel, I think a lot of the things that I'm missing out as far as the player perspective goes is the order markers, because I mean, like, another limitation I have is I can see the order markers right now, they're on the screen, but once they scroll past, I'll probably forget where 1 or 2 of them are. And when you're able to scroll back and so kind of like you were saying, expecting the order marker to be on Brunak instead of the Blade Gruts, I think that's where a lot of like mistakes can happen, is when you're trying to make a play, your order markers are on one place, you want to maximize them, but then your opponent's order markers are completely where you don't expect them to be.
Right. For sure. I mean, that's what happened there with the Blade Gruts, and then what it comes down to is risk reward. So if the reward is high enough, you can take riskier plays, but you have to also understand that taking those risky plays, if they handicap you too much, I mean, I think those Mind Flayer plays, a couple of them, I think that Deathstalker play, just a couple examples where it's like you don't need them, so probably shouldn't bother, but. Yeah, so now we're seeing Brunak come on down here. This could potentially drop Nathan to a squad.
Yeah, and that'd be really painful if both of those attacks go through. Especially because, I mean, with Ornak, okay, so that attack doesn't go through, but, I mean, he still can follow that up with another hero to try to either take out another Deathstalker, or, I mean, at this point you can even, well, let's see. Is there a place where
I wouldn't be surprised if Burks tries to pick off the back flank, to protect Ornak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, he's claiming that high height. Yeah.
Nice, just sitting on top of the lava mountain. It's great. Or he's gonna shoot forward.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, he's reconsidering. Okay.
Yeah.
He's debating. I mean, it's a tough call. It's a really tough call because if you get the one near Brunak, now Brunak only has possibility of 2 attacks coming at him. So yeah, okay, so the attack didn't hit, so end result of course doesn't matter, but at the same time more interesting than the end result is the decision making. Raylan's down, okay. So that changes some things.
Mm-hmm. So and the Mind Flayer takes you in at the same time. Yikes. And then infectedsloth still has a second attack there, could take out the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah. That's big right there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I guess, so I understand why Doc didn't leave Raylan there is because he wanted to be able to advance Brunak farther. I don't think he needed to advance Brunak farther at this point. I think he could have been using Burksa to snipe some more. I don't know, it just felt a little aggressive to me. I think he could be developing up some Blade Gruts and eventually just put an Order Marker afterwards onto Raylan to move her up a little ways. But putting her within 5 of that Death Commander doesn't seem like a good call to me.
Yeah, that's like a push that you need to have happen for you, and I don't think there was enough going in Doc's favor to really guarantee that, for one, but there also, I mean, kind of like we've said, there wasn't enough going against him to force him into that position either. I mean, I think using Burksa a bit more could have forced infectedsloth's hand a bit more if he was, using his range to try to, I mean, infectedsloth has been playing you're going to have to move your auras in order to fight me game. But using Burksa a bit more could say, well, no, you come to my auras because I'm just going to shoot you from here. And then it kind of becomes, who's going to have to budge first.
Right, but I mean, yeah, for sure. But if Death Commander gets to... The thing is, though, Death Commander has to sit behind this wall. Because if Mind Flayer is still alive, he has to sit behind that wall for Enslave. So how... Mind Flayer has range, and Burks has 6 range. That means Doc is outranging Nathan. Can Nathan even use range really effectively in this matchup? Because he did lose 2 Zeddy and infantry right away. It feels like that felt problematic to me. And now the Blade Gruts are just completely out of auras. They're just not near X aura, which I mean isn't the end of the world, but isn't great. I mean, obviously, if he gets that kill on the east side, well, he didn't get that kill, but if he did, that would be, fine. But yeah, didn't get either kill. Those are completely unprotected Blade Gruts. My bet, though, is that Order Marker 3 is on Brunak, and this is a diversion. So we'll see. I would definitely bet on a Order Marker 3 of Brunak right here.
Yeah,
so he killed one.
Sense.
Yeah. Okay, so he killed both of those blades. Those feel like cheap losses that didn't necessarily need to happen. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's on blades.
Oh, it's on blades again. Holy, He's able to boost. So it looks like he's trying to get a little bit more position with Nerak so that he can, get his blades in there to try to take out Death Commander. But I think while you still have Brunak around, I think I just focus going all in on Brunak because that's a lot more likely to kill something than the attacks of 2 from the Blade Gruts.
Yeah, especially, but right, if you're not going to use Brunak, why is he taking up the space you want the blades to be in?
Yeah, I wonder...
Because now Nerak is on low ground.
Yeah, right next to a Deathstalker. Well, I mean, I guess the Deathstalkers aren't really getting order markers right now, but still, yeah, that's not the position you want your cheerleader to be in.
Right. I mean, and can't Death Commander just slide down if the Death Stalkers get even? Well, I guess no, that wouldn't happen. Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is. I feel like it's just starting to feel really desperate from Doc in general, and I can kind of get where, like, he's down to his 2 attack figures. Well, he's starting to rely on his 2 attack figures. He still has Brunak at full health.
Right. Why isn't Brunak smashing in those Death Stalkers? I mean, not necessarily 2 attacks of 4, but just if 1 attack of 4 goes through, he gets another attack of 4. 4v5s are really likely to kill. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least likely to kill. They're whatever. They're over 50%. I mean, it's not like you have 100%. Really likely, but yeah. Still, it's a good attack. It's a good attack, and you're not putting your Blade Gruts in positions to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially with Blood Hungry, you've got a decent chance, at least, of being able to attack 2 of them. He already killed 2 of them in 1 turn earlier, so yeah, I feel like that's the advantage that Doc should be pushing.
And again, if I don't know, if you're not going to do that, then don't put Brunak there, because I want 2 blades there if I'm Doc. And also, if it's getting down to the point where I'm using Blade Gruts, I'm getting Ornak in there to boost them with his Uckguard, the enhancement, the symbol roll.
Mm-hmm.
What I would have liked to see actually would be Raylan. I've been trying to think about where he went wrong with Raylan. I agree that keeping her at that initial spot right next to where Burksa is wouldn't have necessarily been great for the entirety of the game, because she would have wanted to get up a little bit. But what if she was on the grass space on the left side of where Burksa is now?
Oh, okay. And then
because now she's over 5 spaces away from Death Commander, which means he's not being threatened by that. I don't know. That seems like a better place to me. Oh, and then Brunak just demolished 2 Death Stalkers.
There you go. See, Doc, we told you forever ago. You should have listened to us.
Get good, Doc.
But yeah, no, actually, I think that'd be a pretty good placement. Yeah, being safe from the Death Commander. Death Commander wouldn't be able to, especially if you're planning to do this move with Brunak and bull rush that Death Stalker, Death Commander group over there. Yeah, I can definitely see where. I mean, he was using the luxury of being able to use or move Raylan with Brunak, and so I think that's why she ended up where she did. But I mean, I think you mentioned earlier just what am I trying to see here? Just putting 1 order marker on Raylan, just taking a turn to get her into a better position. I could see where that would have really helped.
It's just not the end of the world to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or put her where that Mind Flare was initially, which is just like up 2 spaces from where that was to the left of that bush. Now because I know you don't want to put her on low ground, but then put her next to a bush. The special attack on Death Commander won't get the height bonus anyways.
Yeah. Although, so...
But at the same... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, as much as we're talking about Doc's decisions there, it has kind of swung in his favor that last turn. Killed 2 Death Stalkers, and Infected Sloth now has an order marker on the last Death Stalker, so that's something that he's probably regretting a little bit right there, because that can't really get into any great position.
Yeah, well, and Doc actually killed 3. He killed 1 with Burksa as well, the one on the east flank. Yeah, so I think that was a play where Nathan was hoping to get that initiative and take a turn first to get. I think he wanted to get an attack down on Nirak with that Death Stalker.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
That 4v3, and then get 1 attack on Brunak, and then potentially, I don't know, just take out a Blade Glut, I guess. Not super meaningful, but still nice. So I don't know. It was definitely a bit of a risky call. And I'm not trying to just bag on Doc all game again. I think Nathan's made a couple questionable decisions. Losing those infantry that early, a couple misplacements with the Death Stalkers, but I mean, Nathan also went into this with less figures, so they've been pretty much trading figures. So while Doc's figures have been more valuable, Doc just has more figures in general.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end game, Nirak and Ornak become a lot worse.
That's true.
So because Raylan's gone, Ornak is going to be not super valuable. I'd like to see Ornak get developed up a bit rather than just sitting on the move glyph. I know the move glyph is powerful, but at the same time, it reminds me of Hitler fighting. I'm not okay. First of all, not calling Adam Hitler, super not calling Adam Hitler, but he was fighting two fronts for a while there, which is why he needed the move. If he was fighting two fronts, he was fighting on the west side, he was fighting on the east side. If the whole army was more compact because he was less aggressive, which is the kind of why Nathan built that army, and what Nathan does with that army is just very compact, very defensive. Then you don't need the move glyph because everybody is so close to each other anyways, So I feel like that was... I mean, obviously Doc is respecting the Death Commander's explosion, but again, it's range 5, and you just threaten him with Mind Flayer, and he just kind of has to sit back. So it's... I don't know. It's going to be interesting, though. I mean, looking at this endgame spot, figure-wise, I'd rather be in Doc's position. But board-wise, it's really close because Death Commander's in a really good spot where he can only get 3 dudes max next to him, and Doc's figures are kind of strung out at this point. But that was a weird order marker too. That was a really weird order marker too. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think I can see the order marker 1 where, I mean, he had 4 Death Stalkers on the board, but
5, yeah.
Yeah. But
no, you're right. 4.
Yeah, well, more than one squad, and so you can kind of expect. I mean, I would not have expected to lose 3 in one turn, like he did. The order marker 2, where Doc was obviously focusing down the Death Stalkers as much as he could, that does seem really questionable to me.
Yeah, losing 3 in a turn is rough, but at the same time, if you have 2 next to Brunak, and if Burks is able to shoot from height, that doesn't. I don't know. Obviously, statistically, you shouldn't lose 3 right there, but at the same time, it's not, earth-shatteringly crazy to lose a full squad right there. So I can definitely see the order marker 1. I don't see the order marker 2, though. I think that's wasted time when he doesn't have a lot of time to waste.
Yeah, especially because, like you were saying, it's just it kind of comes down to quantity of attacks against the Death Commander, and so now Doc is just looking to get those wounds in as quickly as he can. That is 7 defense, but I mean, if you're looking at life in defense, Brunak also has 7 defense and he has got 3 life, so there's definitely a timer going on there.
For sure. And the thing is, you're going to get some passive turns with the Death Stalkers anyways once the Death Commander gets engaged in the end game.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So, I mean, that's... Because obviously Doc is going to have to engage Death Commander, so then just use the Death Stalkers that way. Just take some passive turns when you can, and he's going to get that the reroll, which is very powerful. Rerolling a die is very, very powerful. So he'll get that, and yeah, I mean he's in a decent spot. It's just if he had taken a couple more shots with Death Commander before this turn, that would be even better.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice attacks there too. Nice blocks. There's gonna be a lot of defense dice rolled here in this end game.
There will, but it's gonna be so. Variance wise, it's gonna be hard to say one player, regardless of who comes out of this on top. I mean, if you look at how many attacks Doc's gonna take here, it would seem that Doc should win, and that it would just be ridiculous luck, I guess, that if he didn't. But at the same time, so Doc didn't take any wounds from, or take maybe 1 or 2 wounds all game from lava.
Oh yeah.
So variance goes a lot of different ways here. Muburksa should have, maybe Muburksa, maybe Nirak, maybe even Ornak should have some hits. I mean, Muburksa has 1 hit. I mean, if Muburksa's at 2 hits, or if Nirak is at 2 hits right now, and if it's just 1 shot could take out Nirak, that'd be pretty powerful. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I mean, Doc has definitely been playing into the lava part of the map and has really been being able to profit off of his position just by putting figures on lava and then playing into that 50% chance of taking the wound. It's really worked out for him pretty well. Because, I mean, the 1 wound that Narek has taken was from a Death Stalker.
Right.
Yeah, Brunak did take 2 hits right there at the end of that round, so that makes him really fragile now, so That's kind of sad for Doc because that's like his strongest punching power, other than Meeburks, I suppose, if he is able to get Meeburks up into a spot to shoot at Death Commander.
Yeah, I mean, he just had 3 attacks to 3, one with the reroll to try to punch through 1 damage. So, I mean, that just makes it tough for Doc to put order markers on Brunak. You know, if Brunak enters this round with no hits on him, he can safely put order marker 1, order marker 2, maybe even order marker 3. Probably not. Probably order marker 3 on Blades still. But, I mean, he really can't do that too safely now.
Yeah. Luckily, Ornak does give him a little bit of flexibility there. But, yeah, Brunak is really the figure that you want right now, especially since he was able to save him towards the end game. To have those 2 hits come in right at the end of the round really just, like, makes your ideal figure become a whole lot more fragile.
Right. Yeah, so of course you want to get the order marker 1. I guess where more matters more is the order marker 2, the order marker 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because that is, the point of Ornak, rather, is the ability to just have complete flexibility with that stuff. And the double turns is also solid. So we'll see, once again, if Nathan can punch this through.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah, he did. Wow.
Yeah, nice solid attack from that Deathstalker. And yeah, so now I'm guessing Doc's order markers were going to be on Blade Gruts anyway, but yeah, now he's really playing into that quantity of attacks now, just really looking for that variance to swing his way a little bit to get Death Commander to blank.
Right. Well, I mean, again, I think, I don't know. I understand why he took that attack with Nirak right there. I think I would have moved up Ornak.
Yeah, that's true, because he was able to engage well, I guess Ornak being on the glyph did allow that 1 Blade Grut that's engaged now to get engaged to Death Commander. So, like, for this turn specifically, I can see the move glyph. I think as a whole, though, he hasn't needed it a ton since the Blade Gruts are already pretty fast.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's I feel like this isn't
coming down to the wire.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't really the ideal end game for either player at this point. Where, I mean, Death Commander rolling 7 shields, that feels great, but there are still a lot of attacks coming your way, so there's still always that possibility to blank. But also, Doc is not throwing very good quality attacks at Death Commander, and just that little corner that Death Commander's been able to get himself into is just a really good position to keep. And it makes Doc really scared from getting too many Blade Gruts in there at a time.
Yeah, and that's Nirak just got dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think Doc's in a tough place now. I think he's in a really tough position. He's going to have 2 Blade Gruts next to Death Commander, but it's really what's going to come down to is can Meeburks take this game over? Can Meeburks get a good shot in and kill him? If not, this is looking like Nathan's game, even though it is 5 figures to 1.
Right.
I mean, it's Death Commander. He's good. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, especially that 2 life to separate him from the Deathwalkers in particular, just gives him just that little bit of breathing room that he needs, especially when he's going against 2 attack figures. If he takes a wound, it's pretty likely that he'll only take 1 at a time.
That's another whiffed lava for him.
Yeah. he's been just reaping the benefits of the lava.
Yeah. Which, again, I mean, variance, there's been definitely variance on each side at this game. Brunak going down like that. Well, I mean, not really Brunak going down like that, because he did have a lot of attacks that second round of dealing with him, but that first round taking those 2. But, Mind Flayer not getting the dunk, but again, that was like a 50-50 BC. I think he rolled for it 3 times, or maybe only twice when he could actually dunk him. So I think Doc just has been playing a little too aggressively, but he still might come out of this on top, because Death Commander could just whiff. I think I'd rather be in Nathan's shoes right now.
Yeah, I think especially with the ability for the explosive rounds, keeping. Well, okay, as I say that, Doc goes right in and just completely surrounds him. I was going to say that's keeping Doc from committing too much. But also, if you're going to commit to the attack, this is definitely the time to do it when you're, really, really needing those attacks to go through.
So Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know. I think I would put Ornak one space back and then just have him buff those two Blade Gruts, and you have another one coming up. You put him in the center of that lava 6 hexer, and then everybody's spread out, two spaces away, so then you can get, some good quality attacks on him with the symbol buffs. Yeah, he just punched one through right there thanks to the symbol buff. That's how I'd be playing
Nice,
it.
yeah.
I think this is a tough. I think this is. I don't know. I don't like that Ornak placement.
Yeah, no, yeah. Now that you point that out, I think that's definitely better to be able to.
Because those are your attacks. Those are like two. As weird as it sounds, 2 dice with the symbol conversion is actually better than 3 dice without.
Oh, is it really? I always forget the math on that.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. It like slightly, like not significantly better, but slightly better. And they're 10-point figures. They're not Ornak.
Yeah.
You have at least one more turn. I think he could have not engaged that one turn. Wait, did he?
Oh, let's see. Oh, okay, so Doc rolled both of his attacks at once. So the first one was one skull, and then the second attack was one skull, one symbol. And so Infected Sloth perfectly matched that once they realized that and rolled the second defense roll.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, no, that really hurts. Losing a Blade Glut, maybe losing another one now, since he's able to target both Ornak and the other Blade Glut too.
Yeah. Well, one skull won't kill both of them, but
Okay, there we go.
yeah. So he's going to have one more good turn of the 3 attacks, but it feels like next door to marker, Nathan could just wipe all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really kind of, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a desperation play when I think me Berksa has a chance in this game. I really do. Not necessarily a great chance, but 4, 5, 6. Maybe not. I don't know. It's weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Just looking at where he can go. I mean, the big other thing to remember is the heal glyph is still in play at the bottom of the map. Burks has 8 move, 6 range. He can potentially get that.
Yeah, that's true, and that could be really good if he heals up to full. That definitely increases his odds there. It doesn't look like, once he starts using Reburksod, it doesn't look like if he's trying to go offensive that he'll be able to get a great attack. He'll be able to take a shot up. And and that was a good turn for Doc where he was able to survive both attacks from the Death Commander.
Right, and his order marker 3 is on me Berksa, which is kind of what I figured based on how aggressive that play was with Ornak.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have had a full round here on Blades. I think I would have had a full round here on Blades, played a little more defensively with, Ornak back one space to do some boosting until they die. Just try to limit kills and just try to get 2 attacks a turn until he can deal with it. That way you limit the effectiveness of that splash damage. But
yeah,
I don't know, maybe it's very possible I'm overvaluing that splash damage though. So
yeah, no, I think I agree with that because I would just be having nightmares of losing all of my orcs in one go with that splash damage, especially with only the 2 defense going on. But
yeah,
I can also see the argument to try to go aggressive, try to push through that damage as quickly as he can though, because it's possible that Doc just doesn't want the game to drag out because, well, no, I feel like the more the game drags out, the more chances he has to make Death Commander blank. That could be flawed logic. I'm not sure.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm 100% with you on that. The more attacks you take in a game against Death Commander, the better chance he's going to whiff. Also, the longer the game drags out, the more chance that you can get that heal glyph with Burksa.
Yeah.
So Burksa is now in a pretty good spot where he can snipe from there. I don't know. I feel like I would have put Order Marker 1 on those Gruts, though. It would have been a gutsy play because you'd need to win that initiative. But assuming you win that initiative, you're in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think here's the deal. I think Doc's behind right now. I think he needed that play. I think I would have for sure done that because I feel like if I was in Doc's shoes, I'd feel like I was behind and I would feel like I don't really have a choice other than to take a round 1 with those Grunts and just hope you punch it through. So
yeah,
hope you win that initiative. Hope you punch through a couple, just even 1 damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see the benefit of trying to take that gutsy play. I think I agree there because Doc's kind of in that position where he just needs things to start going right for him, and Doing the slower. Well, it's had a weird mix of both like the slow approach and the fast approach going on. But
it's knowing when to go with that fast approach, it's knowing when to do what. That's the tricky part. He could have been slower early on, but then now it's like if you commit to that fast play with Ornak like you do, I think you ride it out and hope for the best, because I think that's the only play you got at that point. Like, it's the whole concept of you can't play the same when you're up as when you're down as when you're even on board. Like, you have to always factor that into your decision making. And I don't know, it felt too safe of a play to put that order marker 1 on me Burke. So like, you don't, like, 1 attack of 4 isn't going to end this game more than likely. I'm in on quantity attacks, a 3 attack and then 2 boosted. So basically 3 die attacks, and you just hope you get a 3 skull and he gets a 1 shield or something. But just take as many shots as possible. That's my take on the situation, honestly. But
yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. And so yeah, and now it is down to me Berksaw versus Death Commander. This will be interesting. So let's see, that was order marker. So this is Doc's last turn, and then Nathan has another turn. Okay, so he's just going to go straight for the Kelda. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
He does have 1 hit already. Okay, I think that makes sense. I honestly think that does make sense. Although at the same time, so Death Commander is going to get a shot. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Death Commander can go into a level 0 swamp water next to the tree and take a shot if Doc does that. And then if he wins an initiative, that's probably 3, 4, 5. He'll get another shot. I don't know. That's a tough call.
Yeah.
Is healing the 1 worth it, or is taking a shot of 4 right here better?
Right, yeah. Oh man, I don't know what I do. This is coming right down to it.
And you can see Doc considering both right now.
Yeah. Because I can see, like, trying to run away right now. If you're able to block that attack, since me Berksaw does have 2 life remaining, if he runs away to that lava down south, he can safely stay there between the rounds without worrying that he's going to die between turns. But, I mean, if you just wait till the next round, then he already doesn't have to worry about dying on lava damage, because it doesn't happen during the round. But, yeah.
But, so Nathan has an order marker 3 right now, so he can take that, and if he puts even just 1 on it, he might just die to lava.
That's true, yeah.
He's got 2 3v4s. And does healing the 1 even put him in a place, like he's going to be at that flat part of the map? Is he even going to be in a place where he can kill Death Commander after that?
Yeah, that's definitely true, because Death Commander could just jump up on that high ground and start shooting down. Alright, well, and there's the attack that takes it.
Well, that's that. So I guess it probably would have ended the same regardless. I still think I might have shot with Moonbergs there instead of running, just because I don't know where. I guess you're gunning for that level 4 area.
Right, yeah.
Which you might 1, 2, 3. Let's see, and then that would be like, okay, no, you can't make it quite in 1 turn, but still, I mean, I guess that was what he was going for there, but I think that was a really risky play, especially because Nathan still had that order marker. I think it would be a different situation if Nathan didn't.
Yeah, I think that was the main thing for me that I was looking at. I think that's why I probably would have tried to take a shot instead of running, because, yeah, running, Sloth has another order marker, you've got the lava damage, and then you've got the potential for initiative switch. That's just a lot. I mean, when we're in a game, or in an end game where you need everything to go right for you, that's a lot of room for things to go wrong.
Yeah. And again, I don't even know if, like, I think his best play right there was just to take that 4-die attack down and hope he whiffs, and just because, like, I think that was kind of his only shot. Because again, I just don't see where you go from that glyph.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. But, I mean, like, on the whole, though, man, that was a game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you bring it down to just Death Commander. Yeah, that was a great game to watch. I think they both played, really well. I think there were, of course, some mistakes on both sides. But, and now we get to see Brunak running around the map. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess my final thoughts are just kind of, I think at this point, Nathan's pointing out how obnoxious that play was.
Probably, yeah.
With there's the Deathstalkers. Yep, the one place you can engage right there. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a well played game by both of them. I just think Doc got a little too hasty, a little too aggressive. I don't think I think he messed up a little bit with the Gruts towards the end, and losing Marku early. But then again, even Nathan made a couple mistakes with some placements with Death Stalkers. I guess I just think Nathan's strategy overall was a bit tighter, which is why he came out on top of this one. So
yeah, I'd definitely say I'd agree with that there. I mean, like, yeah, really good play, really good development from both players. But I mean, I think just watching it, there's just so many little things going on in the game, and I think Doc just lost out on just enough of them to. I mean, it really came down to the wire, but I think Doc's just like those few plays that he made where he maybe could have done something a little bit better was just enough to swing it in infectedsloth's position to get him the game.
For sure. And I think if Marku is still alive to make it to that end game to help out with, the Ornak turns where you take a turn with Brunak, you bust down those two Death Stalkers in the way, or even just one of them, and then Marku flies in for a 4-die hit on the Death Commander, that seems pretty strong.
Yeah, that's really true, and that's a lot of
because he's a 20-point figure. You don't care. So, and then just even during the game, picking off some Death Stalkers. I don't know. I think a lot of things like that, and using Burks a little more to take some planks, get him to higher ground quicker, keep him a little more protected. Yeah, I mean, maybe a few less order markers on Mind Flayer, and I think Doc would have had a better shot of coming out of this game on top. But. Yeah. Again, I mean, I think this isn't to knock anything. This isn't to knock Doc, isn't to knock Nathan or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's Heroscape though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can't win them all.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like that. There's just like that. There's the ability to have those like differences of opinions and strategies, and to be able to see different ways succeed at different times, and depending on the map, the matchup, all the variables in Heroscape that just make it really, really fun to watch and observe.
For sure.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. That was a really good game to do together.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure. You're welcome back anytime. So hopefully you viewers enjoyed the game as well. Lots of good stuff to observe and digest from that game there. Let us know what you think. Also make sure you check out, again, I'll plug the Casters of Valhalla podcast because it is stinking awesome. I've listened to and enjoyed all of the episodes that they've done so far, and I'm looking forward to more in the future. So thank you for providing that service for us, OrcElfArmyOne.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Before we sign off, do you have anything you want to share with the viewers, and any words of wisdom, inspiring messages, memes?
Yeah, no, I don't. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
All right. That's fine. Again, thanks so much for joining me today. Thank you, viewers, for joining us, whatever day this is when you're viewing it. And this is 10 points, under and out. And stop recording.